It's hard to choose because honestly I listen to watch so much true crime. Some of the most heartbreaking are when parents torture, abuse, neglect their children to death. Then they dispose of the bodies in trash cans with fire, etc. One of the worst was the case of Adrian Jones, who was tortured to death and then had his body fed to pigs by his parents. The sheer number of these cases in Southern California alone is disheartening. But a few non-family murders that stand out. The murder of Cherish Periwinkle. She was the little girl whose mother was conned into thinking an older helpful gentleman wanted to give her a Walmart gift card to buy clothes for her daughter, so they shopped together for hours. There is so much surveillance video of them walking around the store. It's just so sad. Eventually, he took the little girl for hamburgers at McDonald's. He passed by the one in the store, took her to his van, which had most of its seats removed, and then raped and murdered her. I have a very strong stomach for grisly crime, but the testimony of the medical examiner in this case stained my spirit. It was so awful. Austin Sigg murdering and dismembering Jessica Ridgway. This one is famous online for the recording in which Austin's mother calls 911 because her son has confessed to killing the girl and still having some of her remains in various places around the house. Her torso had already been found. Austin himself gets on the phone and talks to the 911 operator. He and his mother get frustrated by how many questions she asks. The trial in this one also has stomach-churning elements. Austin was well on his way to becoming a serial killer. The sexual torture murders committed and videotaped by Charles Ng and Leonard Lake. Just Google this story. It's horrifying. Similarly, the toolbox murders committed by Lawrence Bittaker and Roy Norris in their Murder Mac. They made audio recordings of themselves torturing, raping, and killing their female victims in brutal ways. That audio was played during the trial, and it was devastating and brutal for everyone except the killers to hear. Finally, I would say the Wichita massacre committed by the Carr brothers is desperately sad. They broke into an apartment where some friends were hanging out and subjected them to a horrifying night of torture and rape before killing them. I'm pasting some of the details from the Wikipedia page about this case because if I paraphrase, no one will believe the ending. On December 14th, the brothers broke into a house at 12727 E Birchwood Drive in Wichita. Inside the property, which they had chosen at random, were Brad Haka, Heather Muller, Aaron Sander, Jason Beaufort, and his girlfriend, a young woman identified as Holly G. Beaufort was a local high school teacher. Haka was a director of finance with a local financial services company. Muller was a local preschool teacher. Sander, a former financial analyst who had been studying to become a priest. Holly G. was a teacher. 5. First, the Carrs searched the house for valuables. Beaufort had intended to propose to Holly, and she found this out when the Carrs discovered an engagement ring hidden in a popcorn box. After burgling the house, the Carrs forced their victims to strip naked and then bound them. They then repeatedly raped the two women and forced the men to engage in sexual acts with the women and the women with each other. After taking the victims in Beaufort's truck to ATMs to empty their bank accounts, they drove them to the closed Stryker soccer complex on the outskirts of Wichita, where they shot all 5 execution style in the back of their heads. The Carrs then drove Beaufort's truck over their bodies and left them for dead. Holly G. survived because her plastic barrette deflected the bullet to the side of her head. She walked naked for more than a mile in freezing weather to seek first aid and shelter at a house. Before getting medical treatment, she reported the incident and descriptions of her attackers to the couple who took her in before the police arrived.